Hi, this is Anushruti from Informatica Support. In this video, we will be talking about the overview of the product Reference 360. The agenda of this video will be to discuss various key concepts of this product. Reference 360 is a cloud-based service which is present on the IICS platform. The examples for reference data are countries, states, currencies, etc. In Reference 360, one can create, manage and govern this reference data. One can also create crosswalks to translate same business term used differently in different applications. One can approve or reject the changes done to this data before they are published. One can also view the historical changes of this data. Further, we will see how each of this functionality can be achieved in Reference 360. To begin with, let us first understand what reference datasets are. It is a logical grouping of datasets like country code is one dataset, state code is another example for dataset. Each of this reference dataset would have its own structure. It is a template for the code lists. Let us take an example of country code. It's a reference dataset. It can again have different code lists which belong to the same category. Like we have enterprise country code lists, ISO country code lists, which all come under the same category of country codes. There are two ways of creating it: hierarchical dataset and dependent dataset. Let's move on to understand what code lists are. They are containers that hold the code values. It inherits the structure definition of the reference dataset. We can again create this in two ways, in a hierarchical way and a dependent way. So let us understand what code values are actually. Code values are unique business terms or lookup values like names of countries, states. For example, in one code list, the code value for India could be IN and in another it could be IND. Code value consists of attributes. Each code value have a name attribute and a code attribute by default. We can, however, create custom attributes at code level or reference dataset level. For example, we can define name as India and code as 001 or IN or IND. When we have multiple code lists for the same data set, we need a way to translate between them. For example, we need a way to say IN and IND both represent the same country. That's when code lists and value mappings come into picture. Crosswalks are one-way relationship between code values in a pair of code lists. For example, we have a code list enterprise country code and ISO country code. To create a crosswalk between them, we need to provide the source and target. If they are equivalent, you must create two crosswalks. Now, to map the values in the code lists, we use value mappings. In code list enterprise country code, India has code as IN, and in ISO country code, we have as IND. When we have to translate from one code list to another, IN should be translated to IND. This is taken care by value mappings. Now let's move on to understand what attributes of a code list or a reference dataset are. These are the fields that your code list should have. By default, we have name and code, but we can also create custom attributes like description, region, etc. Now these code value lists can be imported into the system. We can check the status of each of these imports in the import tab provided. We can also download the error log from this tab to check why the imports failed. As mentioned in the introduction, we can approve or reject the data before it is published. This can be achieved with the help of tasks and workflows. Every time a change is made, a task is created which has an approval workflow. This approval workflow is a process to review the changes made to the code list and approve or reject accordingly. We can also check the historical data of a particular asset. All the changes made over the course of time can be viewed in the History tab provided in the UI. We can view the previous value, the present value, who modified it, and when it was modified. This helps to keep a track of all the changes that are happening on the data. Now, we could be having a lot of code lists and could be a tedious job to manually search the reference dataset or the code list or code values. So we have a provision of a search tab where we can search for. We can also filter it on the basis if it's a code value, code list or a reference dataset. Now let's move on to the user groups and roles present in Reference 360. We have two types of roles. Reference 360 roles, which are with respect to IICS, which provides service-based access. This role is present for all assets. Stakeholder roles, which is asset specific. This is with respect to a particular reference data set or a code list or a code values. The user is an individual account holder on the IICS platform. For Reference 360 users must have an account on the IICS platform. You can find more information about this product by referring to the guides which are present on the knowledge base portal, or you can also check it on the documentation portal. Please do provide us a feedback about the video in the below links. Thank you.